Now, not many of you know this, but I'm actually a huge fan of Penguinz0, Moist Critical, Charlie, The Chocolate Factory, the whole 9 yards. But I found myself disagreeing with him quite a bit when it comes to Joe Rogan's video game takes, and that's about it. See ya. Let's go. Let's watch Joe Rogan's full comments, and then we're gonna move on to some Moist Critical.
But I think that there's a lot of people that don't have any, they're not modeling their life after someone that they see that they admire. Someone that's successful, someone that is doing something that they enjoy and love. Sometimes kids have to see that. Right. And if their parents are living a bullshit life and their neighbors are living a bullshit life and most of their family lives a bullshit life, they just fucking lay around, you know, and then they seek refuge in drugs or video games.
It's true. I mean, breaking out of the mold isn't an easy thing.
And then they seek refuge in drugs or video games or something that stimulates them.
Seek refuge that's a pretty good word, though.
And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Chat. And any gamers out there, if you're offended by this, you need to take a good hard look in the mirror, because that was basically a compliment to games. Like, they're that good, and they could suck you in. Be objective here. They can, and they do.
Real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Like, that should not be offensive. Come on.
You could learn jiu-jitsu. You get obsessed by jiu-jitsu. And then 3 years later, you're like an elite jiu-jitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing...
This is something I think of all the time. The amount of time and money that I spent on video games. Like, if I gave it to basketball, oh my god. I would definitely have, like, earned some money. Like, I wouldn't be in the NBA or anything, but I would have definitely earned some money playing basketball. And if I wanted to be a basketball coach, dude, easy, dude. Definitely I had what it takes. I think so anyway. I don't know. It's definitely a career path.
You thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes and he's got a nice family and like, that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun and you don't, or you could just be playing fucking video games.
Is he not right, chat? Come on, what are we talking about here? He's talking about jiu-jitsu? You probably have a pretty good role model right there, and you're spending time with someone much wiser than you. Benefit number one, you're very active, and I don't think I need to tell you the health benefits of exercise. It literally makes you live longer and happier and everything. You're getting a real life skill. If someone attacks you, you're not going down. And you can protect anyone you want, and you have a career path, even if you're not world class, like chat or video games. You need to be world class to be anything. Like, what's the argument against it here?
Or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, you know, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
And there's no end to it. Chat. If there was this like portal that you go to where nothing you do counts, and you won't even remember anything you do basically, except for maybe like if you were stressed and you mellowed out, you'll only feel that. If you go there and they tell you you have a full access to the internet and any game that has ever been invented, as soon as you spend a day bored, then you have to leave the portal. When do you think I would leave the portal? The answer is never. There is no end. I could do that forever. There is actually no end. Like if there were no real world implications, I could like alternate between YouTube and gaming forever. Maybe I sprinkle in a couple TV series, you know? Nothing you do counts. So this universe, like if you like, let's say you read a book, you learn something, you're gonna forget that. That's not there anymore. You learn a new skill, that's not there anymore. All it is an escape. You could stay there forever. A lot of people could stay there forever.
My kids are now saying, well, Dad, this guy made all this money with this video game. That's
real too. That's
right?
real too now.
So like, that's 1 in a billion, kid. Like,
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but...
Yeah, it's not 1 in a billion.
You know...
If that's your goal, then cool. It's like me saying, Dad, this guy made billions of dollars playing golf, so I'm gonna just fool around on the field, if that's okay with you. Like, no, you have to like actually work towards it. And if that like that's your dream and you want to be a world-class esports player, then more power to you. But the majority of us playing games, that's not our goal. And for the majority of us, I think it's not that big of a problem, but you know, it can be a problem.
Look, I heard the same argument about comedy. My own parents were like, do you know how few people make it as a comedian? I was like, okay, does anybody make it? Somebody makes it, right? They figure out how to do it. They make a living. I'm going to do that. Yeah. Just stop. Like, I know what I'm doing. I was real lucky that my parents were not around very much, so I didn't get much advice. So I figured it out.
That's a kind of dark thing to say, but all right.
So there was no one telling me I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that goes with anybody that ever made a career out of like anything that's like grandiose. Which is what I'm saying. If that's your goal, go ahead. Like, obviously be smart about it, but I mean, go ahead. Like, someone's gonna beat the odds, right? But that's not what we're talking about here.
Spend 5-10 hours a day in the house.
You have to. Right. You would have to.
Just like anything else. This is gonna be the first time we're disagreeing with old Critical here.
I'm sure you've already heard by now. You're probably still crying from the betrayal. Joe Rogan has gone too far this time. He's attacked gamers.
No!
As a fan of Joe Rogan and more, I had to tear down every photograph I had of Joe Rogan framed, every poster off my walls. And I'm just wiping my hands of this guy, because it's just disgusting what he said about gamers. Joe Rogan could go on his podcast, bend over and give himself an enema with my grandfather's ashes, and I would still find a way to forgive and support him.
That was such a bizarre example that I wasn't sure if that was like a positive or a negative. I know. I was half expecting him to say, and I still wouldn't forgive him if he did that.
But what he's done to gamers, what he said about us, it's unforgivable.
He admitted that he's also a gamer, by the way. And you know me, Mr. Gamer Extraordinaire here. My dad to this day, I still can't convince him that I don't play video games all day. It's just something that I have to come to terms with. For some reason, that's, I mean, he was right in the past. I spent way too much time on them. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. By the way, chat, just putting this out here. ICD-11, the International Classification of Diseases. Guess what that says? Gaming disorder. It's a thing! People can struggle with it. Doesn't mean everyone's struggling with it. Doesn't mean a majority of them are struggling with it. It says continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. It has to be sufficient severity to result in significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of function. You think that doesn't happen? Guess what? It happens. Next, DSM-V. What's the DSM-V? It's the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders. And guess what? They have internet gaming disorder in there. It has to have like real life consequences to qualify. But it's like, if you don't think gaming can be a problem, you are wrong. Flat out. And Joe Rogan saying they're a problem because they are fun. They are really fun. Like, it's constantly stimulating you and pulling you back in. It's the truth. Is it not? Is that not why you like it so much and why you're coming to its defense so much? Chat, listen to this here. An MRI study was conducted to monitor the brains of 18 college students who spent about 10 hours a day online in China. These students had less gray matter in the brain's thinking part than the control groups, who spent less than 2 hours a day online. Chat, if you think gaming is as harmless as sitting at the park, you are wrong. I'm sorry. It's not harmless. No one gets addicted to sitting at a park. It's like eating junk food. It gives you that same brain. Yes, it's like eating junk food. It's exactly like eating junk food. You get addicted to it. You absolutely get addicted to eating junk food. And you could do that all day and not get anywhere. Actually, yeah, I thought of this like yesterday. It's like saying, hey, that guy made a ton of money competitive eating. I'm gonna eat some nachos right now. It's not how it works. That doesn't work.
and you're going to waste your time.
I know you've already seen the clip on Twitter, and I don't mean to open the wound again and pour salt on it and take a piss on it, but you needed to see it.
Oh, my heart. Oh, God, my chat.
You needed to see it for the context, for anyone that doesn't know. I mean, this
know.
right here, this is a declaration of war,
and we will never forget.
War on gamers. Now, I want to talk about this because I think it's blown way out of proportion. Not that I think his point is any good here, it's still dog shit, and it's just kind of a stupid thing to say.
And that is where I disagree.
Basically, the whole thing equates to gaming doesn't necessarily guarantee you money. And since it doesn't guarantee you money, it's not a good use of time.
That isn't actually what he's saying, though. He's saying gaming is addicting, and if you let yourself get sucked into that void, it can affect your like real life aspirations. If you don't have your real life aspirations and you're not doing anything with your time over here, then what are you doing with your life? That's what he's saying. He's not saying anything that doesn't make you money is bad. And obviously not everyone that plays games goes through a problem like that. Like my mom and dad, I kid you not. To this day, they play Candy Crush like every day. They just sit down while they're like listening to the news or whatever. Every day. It's addicting, but it's not affecting their real world. You know? There is a balance, and I think Joe Rogan knows that. But that's not what we're talking about here. My mom and dad have their lives set. If we're talking about like 8-year-olds that spend 7 hours a day playing games, like at some point, there's got to be a limit to when it's fine.
Which is obviously just a fucked up thing to say. Just because something doesn't guarantee you money doesn't mean you've wasted your time by doing it if you've enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, but he's not claiming that it is. He's not claiming that sitting at a park is a waste of time because it doesn't give you money. He's not claiming that. But there is a limit, and people very often go over that limit, and it's not a healthy thing to do. I don't see the argument here. Like, there's no argument against what he's saying. Because he's not giving it an extreme opinion. It's a very normal opinion.
And he's just outright wrong. Gaming is probably the most viable career for the majority of people in the world thanks to something called streaming. I don't know if Joe is familiar with what streaming is. Maybe he's still stuck like a Neanderthal in caves banging 2 rocks together for entertainment. I'm not really sure.
There it is. Streaming is not gaming. First of all, let's dissect streaming, alright? The people that have made an actual career out of streaming, they are the top 0.001%. Maybe there was an extra zero in there. Actually, maybe there isn't. Streaming isn't that great of a career path, just like comedy or sports or anything else. You have to put in the work, and you have to be like likable. You have to add some sort of value to that, and you have to practice. And you have to put in the time to get known, and you have to promote and whatever. Like, streaming as a career path isn't that lucrative. I mean, for you it obviously is, because you're insane at it. But, number one. Number two, I could stream anything I want. Literally anything I want. I could stream myself playing a guitar. I could stream myself hanging out at the park. I could stream myself walking around. I could stream myself hanging around with my cat. I could stream myself gaming, obviously, which a majority of people do. The value of that isn't in the gaming. The value of that is me being good at streaming. It's like me saying I can make a mean omelet. All right, listen. The best scrambled eggs I've ever ate is the one I made. All right, I can make a mean scrambled eggs. I have the technique down pat. All right. So does that mean I get a cooking show? No. That's based on a lot of things. And just because a cooking show is a lucrative career, that doesn't mean just by practicing cooking, I'm gonna get one. I have to have like a likable personality. I have to go like interview places. I have to go on the internet, maybe promote myself, and then maybe I'll get a TV deal, you know? It just doesn't... Streaming is very different from gaming. Just because you can game while you stream. I'm just chatting on streaming right now. Yeah, exactly. This isn't gaming. But I'm also not successful, so maybe he's right.
By gaming, you can make a career out of streaming.
No, by streaming, you can make a career out of streaming. By the way, YouTube videos as well. Oh my god. I mean, honestly, I might be addicted to YouTube videos. Let's be real here. The algorithms are, they're on point. They know what they're doing.
You don't have to be the best in the world at the game to have a streaming career.
Well, you just negated your own point. You're saying the gameplay isn't important. Shut off your camera, shut off your microphone, stream yourself playing bad games. Like exactly what you would do at home, eating your nachos, just playing online. Do that. Let's see where that gets you. No, you have to have some sort of value added to that. If it's not your gameplay, then what is it? Usually there's something else.
But you do have to be among the top 1% in the world to make it as a professional athlete and make a career out of.
You have to be less than 1% in streaming.
He talks about martial arts. You know, you do martial arts for 3 years, then you're an elite martial artist, and hey, maybe you open a dojo and make a career that way. Well, that's 3 fucking years of doing nothing.
It's not nothing, though. I already counted the benefits, but it's not nothing. I don't see doing jujitsu the same as gaming. Plus, have you ever heard of someone, like, casually addicted to jujitsu or, like, basketball or anything? There is a limit. I adore basketball, all right? I could play for hours on end. But there's an end to it. Like, a couple hours later, I'm like... Alright, maybe that's enough for today. Maybe I should, like, go home and chill out a bit. Like, I'm alright. But with gaming, there's no end. You can do it all day, every day. And I'm exercising and getting all those benefits. Even if I'm just shooting the ball outside myself. I'm getting so many benefits right there. Compared to with gaming, you get absolutely nothing. Except maybe, like, social interactions and whatever. But and people make the biggest argument people make is, like, oh... When I was a kid, like, I used to get bullied all the time, and video games were an escape to me. So how dare you say video games are addictive and that they get you nowhere when they got me through tough times? Like, just being an escape doesn't make something inherently good. Literally anything can be an escape. Reading books, playing basketball, skydiving, sunbathing, shopping, meth, cocaine... Anything can be an escape. Just because something is an escape doesn't mean it's a good thing. Like, yeah, that's a positive that it can have. You can make new friends. Maybe you'll meet your wife. I don't know. Yes, there can be positive. But just because it got you through some tough times, like, that could have been anything. That could have been watching TV. That could have been anything.
Well, that's 3 fucking years of doing nothing. Isn't that kind of a waste of time by your own criteria, Joe?
By his own criteria, he's saying... You're gaining real life skills that can also be applied to a career path. His criteria made it very clear that it's not a waste of time.
They spent 3 years doing martial arts for free, and in fact losing money because they're paying for the classes.
Okay. For
the very slim chance that they open a dojo, which isn't very easy. You have to already be financially secure, and you have to get lucky, and you have to get a bunch of students. He says, oh,
fair, but you don't really need to be world class to do it. It's way more probable to be able to open a dojo. Like, you don't need to open a dojo. You can work at someone's dojo than make a streaming or gaming career. Let's be real here.
It's a lot harder to get 100 students to a brick-and-mortar martial arts facility than it is to get 100 viewers online from playing a game.
Is it? I'm gonna have to see the numbers on that. But 100 students, yeah, that's pretty huge. But 100 viewers is also pretty huge. I think the numbers were something like, if you have like 400 viewers, you're at the like top 0.01%.
And using Joe Rogan's criteria, everything can be boiled down to a waste of time, especially sports. Less than 1% of everyone who plays sports will make a career out of sports. You have to be an absolute fucking freak. Literally some of the best human beings in the world in those categories to make a career out of that path.
He's not saying anything that's improbable is a stupid thing to waste time on. He's saying the opposite of that. He said it himself that comedy was an improbable thing to accomplish, being a comedian. He said it himself that that's not his criteria. Come on, Critical. I expect better from you, dude. You're disappointing me here with your takes here. I think this is the first time I've like disagreed completely with his takes.
So every time you're playing basketball, playing football,
you don't get addicted to playing football though. And well, football isn't really that healthy. Like, if you're addicted to playing football or boxing, I'd argue that's way worse than being addicted to video games. But like, that just doesn't happen. And it's not about just career paths, all right? That was a side point. Like, he made the point, and then the other guy said, yeah, and my kids say, hey, it's a career path. And then he made that point. That wasn't his criteria.
Soccer, like recreationally, or even part of a small league, and you're not making money, you're wasting your time by...
Again, exercise. You're saying getting healthier and having fun while doing it is a waste of time. That's not That's absolutely not what Joe Rogan said.
And I'd argue it's a much bigger waste of your time using Joe Rogan's metrics because you most likely are not going to make it as a professional athlete. It is so incredibly slim.
That wasn't his primary point. His primary point was it's addicting, and it takes you in, and then you're wasting your time because you're not trying to do it as a career. You're just wasting hours and hours and hours on end, accomplishing nothing in the real world. And then suddenly you're 25 years old and you have no idea what you're gonna do with your life. And where did that time go? Escaping, you know? Like something can be good in moderation, but bad when it's excessive. That and it's very easy to go overboard with video games. That is Joe Rogan's point. Video games are a problem because it's so easy for them to become a problem.
You genuinely don't even have to be good at games to make it as a streamer. As long as you can entertain a crowd or just be there for people that just want to watch someone casually. As long as you can entertain a crowd or just be there for people that just want to watch someone casually.
As long as you can entertain a crowd. That's a pretty big caveat, Critical. As long as you can entertain people. There it is. When I'm sitting down playing Hearthstone, let's say on my phone, on the bus, spoiler alert, that's not entertaining to anyone. Because I'm not that good, and I'm not doing anything to entertain anyone. So gaming doesn't equal streaming. You're negating your own point in multiple ways here.
But I don't think he's entirely wrong with what he's talking about, where if you dedicate your life every single day, every moment of your free time is dedicated to playing a game with no other dreams of streaming it or, you know, taking it further to a professional level like an esports organization or something, then yes, you're a little worse off than the people that are obsessed with sports that'll never make it, because at least with sports, you're a lot more physically active in your life. You're developing some more social skills.
And you're probably not wasting every hour of every day, because like your body gets tired. And if it's not, you probably have a shot at getting some sort of career in that sport. Also, he's not talking about like a 30-year-old just like having his life set and playing games. He's not talking about you playing games. He's talking about kids. He's talking about a 10-year-old basically dedicating his life to games because they don't know better, and that's the most fun thing to do at the moment, and it's the most fun thing to do at any moment because it's freaking fun, to paraphrase him.
Joe's mind, the only way to make a career out of gaming is being the best in the world at a game and making it to a professional esports organization level. I think Joe...
Well, another way would be like gaming coaching, but that's it. Streaming is not... That's not fair. I could like people stream fitness, all right? It's not...
You can start right now, even if you've never touched a video game in your life. You can just turn on a stream, play a video game for the first time, and maybe find yourself an audience.
That's a hard maybe right there. That's a pretty big maybe right there. They just turned on the stream. Is their career really going up right now? Are they really doing anything with their time right now? Seriously, look at all these people. They just turned on the stream. Anyone can do that, right? They just did it. All right. What are the odds of this guy right here, or this guy right here, or this guy right here to make a career out of streaming? Just turning it on. It doesn't make you likely at all to start a career. You know?
Dumb point to make because it can be boiled down to apply to every fucking field. Sports, acting, writing, all of it is all by Joe's criteria here a waste of time because it's not guaranteeing you money.
Who sits at their home and acts for 8 hours a day just for fun? Who sits at their home and writes 10 hours a day and doesn't go outside because they're addicted to writing? Like, how is that the same thing? But again, he was talking about kids and their development.
You can play basketball from the fucking time you're born, right out of the womb. You can start dribbling a basketball all the way until the time you graduate college and might not make it into the NBA.
If you're dedicating that much time into it, you're probably serious about it. But with gaming, you don't have to be serious about anything to dedicate that much time into it. That's the point. And you're way better off if you're dedicating time casually into basketball than you are into any game, into Candy Crush.
So was all of that time playing basketball wasted since you didn't make any money and now you have no career in this? Yeah, probably not, because you've likely enjoyed it and you likely just enjoy the sport as a whole.
Just enjoying something doesn't make it inherently good. You can enjoy cocaine. Just because I enjoyed the years I spent doing it doesn't mean that was time well spent. Like, you're gonna enjoy something that's addicting. And gaming is potentially addicting. Whatever, dude. All right,
for
I'm
some
done.
reason, Joe chose this one as like a dead-end hobby. Literally the only fucking hobby that can
Nope.
stay a hobby and give you a career. Whereas
Yes, because it stays a hobby because it doesn't. It's not your. It literally stays as a hobby as you further your career because that's just the hobby. That's not the actual subject of the stream. Whatever.
and I think this has all gotten blown way out of proportion. People are treating this like this was some kind of nuclear bomb on gaming. It's not that big a deal. It's just a kind of harmless, stupid take. That's genuinely just about all there is to it. That's about it. So yeah.